Thanks for joining us on Special Interview. Last few months were taken over by tension and apprehension over the likely outcome of the governorship election in Anambra State. Now the election has come and gone, and a lot of people have heaved a sigh of relief because the expected never happened. Yes, many people expected that the election may be marred by violence, but as it turned out, it was a different story entirely. We would like to understand how that happened, particularly as it concerns the entire southeastern region of Nigeria. And to make more sense out of it, we have the Commissioner for Information in Ebonyi State, Uchenna Orji, joining us on the special interview today. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Before this election came, a lot of people had believed that it may not be, it may be a bloodbath of some sort, but it ended not being that way. And a lot of people also believe that the challenge is not just an isolated, problem for Anambra State, that it's a situation that could snowball into a bigger problem for the entire Southeast region. Now, let me know your reaction first. Few days after the entire election had been declared won and lost, and there were no incidents, what's your initial reaction?
Yeah, I would like to thank God for that very scenario that played out when there were lots of threats and impressions to the favor of the negative in the election in Anambra State. And at the end of the day, nothing did happen. For me, we need to thank God. But we need to also mention that God has used the governors of the Southeast Governors Forum, the religious leaders, the traditional rulers, town union leaders across the zone to talk to the people, to see how they can appreciate the need for all of us to continue to maintain peace, despite whatever condition we have found ourselves. That thing that has actually helped in ensuring that all of those expected threats of violence were nipped in the bud. But most importantly, I must say this without fear of equivocation, this has also justified the fact that IPOB, after all, is not made up of terrorists or bandits who had no mission. I'm sure that the people who are agitators, that is IPOB, listen to the voice and voices of the leaders of the Southeast. And all the expected plan they had, they decided to lay down their arms. I think it is it's something that we need to also commend them for listening to the voice of reason, voice of peace, and voice of peaceful engagement. I think from this, we are sure that we are moving on the right track of engaging them, continuous engagement with them, to talk to them, to see the need to really lay down their arms and engage leaders at the zonal level, leaders at the federal level, to lay bare what is the agitation so that we can discuss all of these things at the roundtable talk. I want to give it to them that, yes, we are being marginalized as Southeast. And again, they have really made known the agitation. But we need to use wisdom. We need to really appreciate that violence, no matter what is the agitation, cannot give any solution. And violence, no matter whatever baptism it has, goes to the negative, and even it is abhorrible even before God and man. And that has been the preaching of the leaders of Southeast. If we have any issue, any agitation, let us lay it bare before the leaders. Let us ensure that the leaders would really galvanize all of these things and aggregate all of these opinions and all of these agitations so that federal government can attend to them. I think we can move forward with that.
In the last few minutes, you've used the word leaders repeatedly, but it appears that there may have been a vacuum in the position of leadership, particularly in the southeastern part of Nigeria, because if not, why would this threat not be nipped in the bud and be allowed to have stretched the way it did, for the length of time it affected, it created the tension around the election and the destruction of lives and property in that region. What's your understanding of the leadership of the Southeast? What's your understanding of what it is at the moment?
Southeast leadership is very much intact, very responsive,
And
very
it is not
responsible,
complicated.
and it's not in any way complicated. More especially, we're having Southeast leadership that is being galvanized by the Governors Forum of Southeast. I tell you, among the 6 geopolitical zones, if you look at the records of meetings being held, of attention to issues, interventions to issues of security and social and economic development issues among the regions, you will see that Southeast is coming first. I'm not exaggerating. I stand to be contradicted. But what is important that we must know is that the agitation of IPOB didn't start, with this administration, Mr. President's administration. It started when it was called MASOP. Even before MASOP, it started long, long ago. And the issues that they are complaining about, issues of bad leadership, lack of job, underdevelopment of Southeast, didn't start with Mr. President. I can tell you that for all regimes, the regime of President Muhammad Buhari has done quite a lot, to Southeast. But then the issue is that all of these problems must be addressed. And that is the crux of the matter. Now, let me mention that the agitators are talking about the way and manner that the national governance issues are being shared. And this is one of the issues. Then the issue of basic infrastructure in the Southeast.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But my concern is why the tension, the threat, the killing, massive killing of even security operatives in the Southeast wasn't nipped in the bud by the leaders of the Southeast that you kept referring to. Was it that they underrated the issues, or was it that they didn't understand the magnitude or how far this can go? That's actually what I'm trying to make sense out of.
Let me say that the efforts of the leaders of Southeast are being undermined by some people in diaspora. Some people who think also that they are not in the corridors of power. Some people who are playing politics with security, with the agitation issue. And I tell you that that is the major issue. Funding by people who think that why must it be this governor here? Why must it be the current leaders within the corridors of power? That is the major issue. But then let me say that the IPOB agitation did not start with this current government. That's the point I'm trying to make. But now you will need to make some comparative, analysis in all of this. We have in the far north, we have the Boko Haram. They have got no mission. They have got no leadership. They have got no issue that they said must be addressed. But IPOB is saying this, and that should be addressed. So I think it makes the matter easy. But then the problem that gravitated the agitation that made it to be violent reading is because people did hijack it. Elements who are criminal elements had to hijack it. Some people who feel that they can undermine regimes, this leadership, both at the federal and state level, also aggravated the matter by unnecessary sponsorship, unnecessary fake news, brainwashing. These are the factors that did, aggravate the situation in the Southeast. But I tell you that Southeasterners, people of honor and integrity, I'm sure that people are beginning to appreciate the need to play by the rule, because that is the only way to go.
Okay.
If you think that by fighting that you can get to achieve what you want, it's not going to be possible.
Okay, let's go back to Anambra governorship election that just ended. The election, there were a number of candidates with quite impressive resume, which the man that was declared the winner is also part of that list. But a lot of people expected that your party, the APC, would have done better than it performed during that election. What would you think was responsible for this?
The people in Anambra State have spoken, they have made their choice. We had options, including APC as a very veritable, viable option. But Anambra has spoken, and we have got no option than to appreciate the emergence of Professor Soludo. Professor Soludo, of course, was a former governor of Central Bank of Nigeria. Well, one thing I learned from him when he was governor of Central Bank, he said that there is a big difference between economic development and economic growth. And I think that he's going to bring that experience to bear in the development of Anambra State. And he's going to cooperate with the leadership of Southeast Governors Forum to ensure that he brings on board fresh ideas that will help to move the Southeast forward. But then it must be appreciated that Anambra is a very sensitive state. And we've had records in history of leaders from Anambra State who have really played their part, played a lot of role in ensuring oneness, the strength of the entire Nigeria. Sad Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, blessed memories from Anambra State. And Dr. Alese Kweme, blessed memories from Anambra State. And they have always said that their philosophy is all about the oneness of this country. It's all about political mainstreaming, having to mainstream with a party at the center. And I think that whether or not we belong to different political parties, we need to appreciate the need for us to really work with the party at the center. And that's the only way that we can achieve a lot for Southeast. Now that we're talking about having a president of the country from Southeast extraction, it's not for fighting, it's for negotiation.
We will get
and we need all of these leaders to really work, to use their contact and connection, to see how we can talk to the collective sensibilities of the people of different regions to key into this idea.
We'll get to the point, the issue of producing the next president. But I'm looking at why APC came a distant third, and with a kind of margin that was unanticipated. Many people who gave APGA a chance to win the governorship election were thinking that, okay, APGA will win it, but will be closely followed by APC. But then the result of the election was a different ballgame. I'm trying to find out what could have led to this. Is it that APC made the wrong choice in the candidate, or that the party itself has not been well accepted by the people of that region?
I tell you, the emergence of the candidate of APGA is as a result of the choice of the people of Anambra, QID.
Okay, so that's it. And perhaps the choice of the other candidates was a superior choice. But let's leave that and move on to other things. Before we let politics go, 2022 is quite here, quite fast approaching, and you're one of the people that believe that it is time, for equity's sake, for the next president of Nigeria in 2023 to come from the Southeast. The race is gearing up and gathering momentum. But some people think that expecting a president from the Southeast, eastern part of Nigeria, will be a dream, a big dream, even when the people themselves are not showing interest. One clear example: a few weeks ago, one of the biggest parties in Nigeria had their national convention in Abuja. And many people who are interested in the presidency were displaying and showing off their interest from different parts of Nigeria, but none from the southeastern part of Nigeria. That suggests that it seems that the key people themselves are not even interested. How do you reconcile this? Your view that the next president of Nigeria should come from the southeast, and the lukewarm attitude of even the leaders and politicians from that region in vying for that position?
Yeah, an average Southeasterner believes that politics is not a jamboree. Politics is all about showing a sense of responsibility. And they also believe that when you get to the bridge, you'll cross. And let me tell you, in the entire Southeast, we believe that the presidency is not for struggling. It's for negotiation. It's for appeal to consciences. What are the things that will come into play? Equity, equality, love, and merit will come into play. And let me tell you, in the history of presidential bids, even the pre-1960, it was given the position of the president was given, even the pre-independence. The colonial masters gave it to the first indigenous governor general for giving. In 1963, it was as a result of the interplay between two political parties, and it was also given based on track records. In 1979, when the first presidential system of government came on board, I tell you, President Shehu Shagari never did come out to disturb. It was also given. In 1999, you remember, President Obasanjo was brought from even a correctional service in Abakaliki, Ebonyi State, and was crowned as the president. He didn't struggle, he didn't contest. And he didn't struggle for it. That's what I mean. Of course, the case of the president after President Obasanjo, Yaradua, he didn't struggle. He was called upon because of the track records, his kind of personality they gave to him. Of course, after him, you know what happened in the case of President Jonathan. He was called upon. So for us in the South, we believe that
when you may not have to end it there. Stretch it further to the incumbent.
Even to the incumbent. Yes, to the incumbent. That man is actually an institution. He's actually an institution. His system of politics is very different. That's why we believe that he has a lot of role to play in really ensuring that this democracy is moved forward.
But we remember that he had run for presidency repeatedly on the platform of two political parties, even before before the APC.
Yeah.
On the platform of two political parties, he contested for the presidency consistently and lost.
Yes.
And remained focused. The point here is that power is not given. It's a policy, it's a principle that everybody believes in. Power is never given. But it appears that the Southeastern leaders are waiting for the presidency to be gifted to them. How possible is this going to be?
Yeah, actually, it is only reasonable that, people should really allow the system to play out the way it should. What we are doing now is the issue of putting, in place the leadership of political parties. And when the time for contestation for the presidency comes, you will see people. But let me tell you that in Africa, in Nigeria's history, power is not by struggling. It's not the person who is the most struggled, who is the strongest that gets it. It's all about negotiation, appreciating the plurality of our nation. It's not all about being the first to struggle. It's all about people looking at, what you're made of, what you can do, how best you can unite this country. That has severally played out. Even in the case of Buhari, I can tell you, they had to meet together to say, this man has tried this position severally. It is only fair we give to him to really have a place. And that was how he came on board.
That's your belief?
Yeah, that's my belief.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it may not be absolutely correct. That's how he came on board. That was the basis for him becoming the candidate of the APC then.
Yeah, there were quite a lot of give and take in the process of his emergence.
Okay.
Of course, you know that. There were so many political parties that came together, and they had to concede the presidency to one political party. And those other political parties had to diffuse into that major political party. And they said, for this reason, for that reason, of course, negotiations were done, and it was given to him. So it's not about you coming to struggle to fight.
In other words, a lot of people, some people may be interested positioning themselves for the presidency from the Southeast, but quietly negotiating. Is that what you're saying?
Very, very fantastic.
Okay, we will see how that pans out because people still believe that it is important for those who want to lead Nigeria to make themselves visible so that they will be assessed. Their capacity will be checked. Because when you are running against someone who has been known already, whose pedigree, whose integrity, whose capacity is already out there in the public domain, and you are unknown, you may be stepping out with a disadvantage already, But we'll see how.
But let me mention in a minute that It's important that the people be allowed to decide, to look at the track records of leaders within the corridors of power to say, we have seen this man, how he has performed. It's good he becomes our president. It's the only way that we can guarantee legitimacy, we can guarantee people being responsible, leaders being responsible to the people.
Okay, now let's discuss something that would ensure that what the relative peace in the Southeast now continues. After the election, there has not been, towards the election in Anambra, there has not been too many cases, apart from a few, a handful of it in Imo State, a few days ago. It appears that there is calm. Now, what are the measures that you will recommend, being close to the Southeast Governors Forum? You are not one of them, but you work closely with the chairman of the forum. So that makes us believe that you have an insight to what they should or they are doing. What are those measures you will recommend to ensure that this peace is sustained and improved upon?
Yeah, continuous engagement processes will really do a lot. We don't have to believe that militarization will be the solution, but engagement of the actors, engagement of the agitators, the traditional rulers, town union leaders, of course, religious leaders, and engagement of our brothers and sisters in diaspora, even those within the shores of Southeast and outside the shores of Southeast. For instance, today, you would hear it at home, but in Lagos, nobody's obeying that. But part of the people, the majority of the people funding some of these agitation issues are living outside the shores of the Southeast. But when you say sit at home, the people who are suffering it are within the Southeast.
Because they say that the government has been unable to protect them from the violence that comes from those that are demanding that they sit at home.
No. We are saying that majority of the people funding this violence, who are happy and supporting violence issues amidst agitation, they're not even living in the Southeast. That's the point I'm trying to make. Some are living outside the shores of the country. Some are living outside the shores of the Southeast. But come to talk of it, on daily basis, if you are living outside the country, you earn your money on hourly basis. If you are living within the country, you earn your money on monthly basis. You go to work on daily basis, especially on working days. But you wouldn't allow those living in Southeast to go to work. You wouldn't allow them to do their businesses in the name of sit at home. So for us, we think that is beyond the IPOB agitation. Some people have hijacked this process. And that is those that think they're not within the corridors of powers, or those who think that they're in opposition. But let me tell us that all are casualties of violence and war. If it doesn't affect you directly, it will affect your words directly. J.P. Clark said so. Even if you are out of the country, one way or the other, somebody that is a relative of yours can be affected by accidental discharge, by bullets from violent people, bandits who are really using the name of IPOB to castrate violence within the states of the Southeast.
So the measures, as far as you're concerned, constant engagement and talking to one another. What do you think that will be done to those youths that are piles of arms in wrong hands?
Yeah.
Non-state actors are now heavily armed, and that is a huge threat to the people.
Yeah, in addition to engagement processes, talking to their sensibilities, governments need to really provide employment opportunities, do a lot to develop the various states, within their powers. I tell you that in Ebonyi State, we've got a lot of empowerment programs for our youth and women. Of course, the NSAS empowerment program is about 3 billion naira in the basket. We also have civil servants empowerment program. There is also a deliberate program for these agitators provided by the governor. And he has provided what is called a olive branch to agitators. If they can lay down their arms, they will be rehabilitated and they will be given empowerment, in different sums. Of course, they'll be trained. And that way, they can get themselves, back on track again, so that they can fend for themselves and, of course, fend for their families. But again, the leadership of Southeast is saying that if they can lay down their arms, that they are ready to take up all of the agitation issues, before necessary authorities, including the issue of the presidency, including the issue of a basic infrastructure that should come to Southeast, and including the issue of providing, empowerment opportunities for youth and women within the Southeast. And I think this is very possible because all of us are already casualties, including the leaders, those in government, those that are the ordinary in the society. Everybody is a victim of this problem. And I can tell you that the leaders are very much ready to really move to any level that can help to address all of these agitation issues.
Thank you so much, Uchenna Orji, the Commissioner for Information in Ebonyi State, for always sparing your time to share insight on the issues that concern the region and your state in particular. Thank you so much for sharing your time again.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And to you that watched, it's our pleasure that you did. Always have in mind that it's only when there is peace that people will thrive in whatever they do. Remember, we are all casualties already. Thanks for watching. Let's do it again.